Hey there, welcome back to Move Mountains Pilates. My name is Jess and today I am at the beautiful Bow Lake. Unfortunately, we do have quite a bit of smoke, so you can see part of it, but you definitely don't get the full extent of its beauty today. But that's to be expected. Calgary in Alberta has had a heat wave for like 20 days straight now, 30 degrees and sunny, so we were bound to get some wildfires soon. Anyways, today we are doing a 25-minute beginner-friendly Pilates workout. Now, if you're not a beginner, no worries. I'm giving you options today to make it a little bit harder, but this one will be a nice, simple workout to kind of nail down the basics and just tune in deeply into your body so that you can really get the best out of what you're doing. I have some ankle weights with me today. These ones are from Better Me. They're really nice, really cute. They strap on easy. They're just 1 pound, so it's just a little extra spice. Apparently this comes right off. This is my first time using them actually, but I do like them. You don't have to use weights, okay? That's just totally optional. If you happen to have some little ankle weights and you want to throw them on, great. Otherwise, you're still going to feel quite a bit of a burn without. So, without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And then we're gonna start lying down flat on your back. Okay, once you're comfy on your back, just place your hands on top of your belly. And I want you to find the thumbs touching the bottom of your ribs, fingers touch the hip bones. Feel those 2 bony landmarks. We're just gonna start with some pelvic tucks. Exhale, rock the tail, find imprint. Inhale, restore neutral. Those are your 2 pelvic positions in Pilates. Neutral, you think natural, so there's that natural space maybe present behind the low back. It's just where you naturally lay. Imprint, you've got the low back, gently press down into the mat. But when you do that, I don't want you to squeeze your glutes and push with your legs, okay? Make sure it's a really small motion, just as though if there was a marble on your pubic bone, you would roll the marble to the belly button, finding imprint, and then you roll it back to the pubic bone, finding neutral. So it's just a small little motion, like you've got bungee cords between your ribs and hips, shortening those fingers and thumbs together, and then lengthening away. Try just a couple more, and I want you to connect to your breath too. With your Pilates breath, we exhale through the mouth, inhale through the nose. So let's exhale, rock into your imprint, force the air out of your lips like you're breathing out of a straw. Inhale, restore neutral. And now let's hold our next imprint, ribs to hips, low back is supported down. You should feel your core tight. From here, let's just lift one knee right over top of the hip, place the foot down, change sides. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. This whole time, I want you to keep that safety pin connection between your rib and hip bones. Try to keep that low back flat down into the mat. It doesn't matter how high you lift. Just keep it slow and focus on that stability. Even side to side, your pelvis might want to rock side to side, but you're doing your best to hold stable instead. You should feel those abs heat up. Let's try one more per side like this. And then as long as it feels good, pause with your last leg up, lift the second leg up too, knees are stacked right over top of your hips. Now let's just do one leg at a time going down. Toe tap your foot towards the mat, lift back up, change sides. Now I really don't care if your toe actually touches the mat or not. Instead, keep that 90-degree bend happening through your knee and just go as low as you can hold that imprint, right? Keep that safety pin connection. Blow the air out of your lips as you reach the thigh away. Okay, so it's not about reaching your toe down, it's about bringing your thigh away from you. And you should feel some good work, but you should also feel strong and supported through your low back. As you do that, almost feel like the belly deflates away from your hands. Flattening feeling instead of a bulging feeling. And if that's tricky to get, no worries. It actually doesn't matter too much if you do bulge up. It's not gonna harm you. It's not gonna change the ab work. But but if you can, that will just give you a bit more transversus abdominis engagement, which is the deepest layer of your core. Okay, last one here, because we've done about 100. Put one foot down, second foot down, maybe a gentle little rock side to side. Now, let's leave the feet on the mat, reach the arms to the sky, nod the chin, do a little crunch. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, draw those ribs down into the mat. Inhale, lower. So you're going up there, finding your imprint. This time it's not because the tail tucks, but instead it's because your ribs draw down. Last one like this. And then let's combine it with your toe taps as long as that's feeling good. Find your imprint, lift one leg, lift your second leg, reach your arms, and as you toe tap, crunch up. Inhale, return. Exhale, curl your way up as your thigh reaches away from you. Now, you're welcome to also do this hands behind the head instead. That's totally fine. For me, I find that that actually makes it a little harder on my neck because it creates a heavier lever. Whereas the reach, I find, helps me to reach through my ribs, giving me the core support my neck needs. So see what's best for you. The key with it is tucking the chin before the head leaves the mat. And that should feel a lot better. But if it still doesn't feel good, you're better off just doing it with your head down. Do what makes your abs work to their best ability without creating excess strain in your body. My mat's following me during my crunches. Try another 4. I'm like, what's against my head? I promise my mat is not helping me crunch up. Let's do 2 more. Last one, hold your crunch up there and just switch your legs back and forth. You've got this. And if you have ankle weights like me, you're starting to feel the weight of them. Keep reaching, reach your ribs to those hips, reach your belly button to the floor. We have 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower one foot, lower the other, do a little windshield wiper. Awesome job. Let's leave it there for now and just flip over to your side. I want you lying down in one long line, head to feet. Now, if that just feels too wobbly, first of all, that's good because it means you're in a true long line. If your feet are way forwards or anything like that, you're not gonna feel super wobbly. Make sure you bring your feet far enough back. But if you're about to wobble right over, or if you're on a rock, maybe you bend your bottom leg. Totally up to you. Now, personally, on this literally rocky surface that I'm on, I think I'm gonna bend my bottom leg just because it feels nicer on my hip. Otherwise, my hip's sticking down too much. Let's lift the top leg and lower. Reach it away from you and lower down. So you're not lifting super, super high. You're not kicking your foot forwards, rolling the hip back, but instead your heel stays in line with the back of your bum. If you look down the front line of your body, you shouldn't be able to see your toe. Your thigh should be blocking it pretty much. Keep the head back in space once you've glanced down. Otherwise it changes your alignment. And try to really reach out of the leg, not only for your alignment, but also for the alignment through the waist. Reach out of your top hip. Try to lift the bottom waist off the floor. See how I have a little gap underneath my waist? That's the sensation I want for you. Whether there's a physical gap there or not, you're lifting the waist. You should feel the underside waist working. And that's gonna help you to figure out how high to lift your leg. If you lift too high, that little mouse hole squishes down and you kill the mouse underneath you. You definitely don't want to do that. If there's gonna be a mouse underneath you, at least let it run through and get out from under you. It's a motivating cue, isn't it? Now, if you can, put your top hand on your hip. But if it feels more stable on the floor, that's fine too. Just keep it light and rely on zippering up around your waist instead. And that way, this whole time, we're working that transversus abdominis, that deepest layer. Now, You're welcome to stay here, but if that's feeling good and if you want more, you can either prop yourself up onto your bottom elbow or all the way to your hand. Just make sure you tuck your bottom foot back far enough so your shin is parallel towards you, or perpendicular towards you, I think. From there, can you lift your hips as you lift your top leg? Dip the hips as you lower, lift everything up. And if that's too much, even just being on your elbow will be harder. But what I don't want to see is this. Instead, slide the shoulder away from your ear, lift that bottom waist. You're trying to get the bottom ribs as far away from this bottom arm as possible. If anything, I'd rather you have your elbow further out away from you than too jammed in tight. Let's do 4 more. I know we're all feeling this no matter where you're at. On this last one, can you hold your hips up? Hold the top leg up. Tiny circles. I know, I feel the burn too. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, reverse. It's okay, you can curse me. I'm cursing myself too. 3, 2, 1, lower down. Let's just take a quick butterfly stretch in between. Soles of the feet together, open the knees, hinge yourself forwards maybe, and maybe a little rock side to side. Take a big breath, and then let's get the second side over with. Start lying down, one long line, and ideally you're cradling your head instead of being propped up. You're really low. You could also use a yoga mat or a ball underneath your head if that feels better. Heels in line with the back of your bum, pick up that little mouse hole space, and then lift the top leg. Oh, I had my bottom leg bent last time, so I'm gonna do that here. We always try to match what we did on the other side, so 2 sides are getting to be equal. Most likely your 2 sides aren't equal. It might not ever be equal, but this is the best we can do, is try to just match what we do on one side so we do it on the other, creating symmetry that way. You might feel some residual burn from the other side, especially if you were in that little side plank. It's okay, you can do this. The waves are getting so loud, I'm wondering if I'm gonna be washed away soon. You'll let me know, right? Okay, now if you were propped up here, we're going propped up now. Let's draw the shoulder away, tuck the bottom foot back, and as you lift that bottom hip, we also lift the top leg. Everything dips down, everything lifts. You can do this. We have 5 more. Make your little adjustments as needed. Take your breaks if you need to. 3, 2. Hold this one up. Tiny circles. You could also put your hip down if needed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, reverse. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, lower down. Take your butterfly stretch once again. Ooh, a little rock side to side. Do what you gotta do. Okay. Now, let's just take a seat. Legs bent in front of you. The mat is behind you. Find a comfy spot. Sit tall, arms reach forwards. From there, we scoop the belly, we tuck the tail, and we roll onto the tailbone. Pause there, sit up tall. We call this your half roll back, or your C curve. You initiate by tucking the tail. You draw the belly button back and you draw your ribs in and down. If you're on rocks like me, find a better spot if needed. We'll just do a couple more like this before we add on. And be mindful as to how far back you're going. If you go back too far, you're actually taking away some of that lumbar flexion, that low back flexion. So just go to the point where you're really, really rounded in that low back. Now this time hold it. Can you lift one leg? Put the leg down, change sides, you're marching. Pull the knee towards your chest. Feel the abs work to lift the leg. And if that's going well, you could also lift opposite arm. But I want you to prioritize holding everything stable. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and sit up for a little break. Same thing, but now let's add in a twist. Scoop back, this time clasp the hands together. Lift one leg, twist towards it. Hands go on the outside of that thigh. Up and over, you go to the other side. Hands stay in line with your heart. It's not about reaching over far. It's about twisting from the waist. Your hands are just guiding you in the direction you're going. You can do this. 5 more. Last couple. Last one. And sit forwards, maybe into your butterfly fold. Now, if you felt that in your hip flexors, that's not a bad thing. Your hip flexors were working there. Hopefully you were still able to feel the abs and the hip flexors weren't taking over, but we need strong hip flexors, so it's definitely not a bad thing for them to work. Let's open them up though. Flip over to your belly. Let's start here with the forehead resting on the hands. Feet go about mat width apart, and knees and toes face out wide. Root the tailbone down. Feel the length through the low back. Feel the squeeze already into your glutes. You can just rest your forehead right on your mat. That creates an echo for me, so I'm just gonna keep my head a little floated. Now let's float one leg up. Lower, change sides. Exhale, lift. Can you keep equal weight through your hips? Avoid lifting your whole hip as you lift your leg. Instead, make it smaller. Pilates is all about control, as I'm sure you're starting to understand. You only lift to the point where you can keep the pelvis stable, and only to the point where it's glute focused instead of low back focused. You might even feel your waist cinch up to help you stay stable. Feel that nice little squeeze at the top because you're not lifting too high. Instead, you're going right into the end range of the glute. What happens when you go too high is it becomes about the low back. It looks like you're going deeper, but it's really other muscles working. Okay, now let's just take elbows bent by the sides, about forearms mat distance apart. Knuckles are in line with the shoulders. Draw the shoulders down, lift up just to the point where your elbows stay grounded, and then lower yourself. Slide the shoulders in and down your back. Forearms support you, but they're also not pushing. Instead, it's just about that upper spine doing the work. By gliding the shoulder blades together, you'll feel the muscles between them working to lift. It's a small motion. We're just going into the upper back today. Just 3 more. I like a 4-breath pattern here. So I like to exhale on the way up. Inhale to hold. Exhale to lower. Inhale, reset. Exhale, lift. Inhale, hold. Exhale, lower. One more bonus one. Feel how those glutes are still squeezing to support you. And then let's take a shallow stretch. Sit your bum on your heels around and reach over your legs. Maybe do a little sway side to side. You could massage the forehead on the mat. Okay. Then and let's do some work on your hands and knees. Now, if your wrists tend to bug you a lot, you could do this down onto the elbows instead. Otherwise, just spread the fingers wide to help support the wrists. Shoulders are stacked over those wrists or elbows, hips right over knees. And I want you to think about pushing the mat away from you. Draw your ribs in a little so that the low back lengthens. It's almost like if you had a marble at the top of your neck, it could roll right off of you towards the floor. A little bit. You're not tucking the tail, but you're finding that length. Now, let's just reach one leg long, lift it up. Change sides. It's like what you just did, lying on your belly, but now the core is a little bit more involved. You're only lifting to the point where you can keep your hips level, and only to the point where you don't arch your low back. You keep your ribs drawn in. Check in with your shoulders too. Keep them wide. Watch that you're not dumping down, and you're also not shooting them up by your ears. On your next one, let's hold that leg long, and let's just do tiny little pulses. Up an inch, down an inch. You're keeping that sense of imprint, ribs to the hips. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Tiny circles now. Similar, but a little bit more wobbly side to side. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower it down, change sides, reach long, and we just pulse up an inch, down an inch. We're almost done. After we finish this side, we'll just take it into a couple stretches. Tiny circles. Work that glute endurance by holding the leg up this long. Last 2, last 1, then we reverse. Can't forget that second direction. We have 3, 2, 1. Now step that left foot forwards between your feet. Find a kneeling lunge stretch. You'll come up tall. You'll bring your front foot a little bit further forward so you have room to open your hips down and forwards. Squeeze the back glute, press the hips forwards, feel the stretch into the hip flexor. Relax the shoulders. You could always hold onto a wall or some yoga blocks here for balance. Let's take one more breath. And then we'll just change sides. Now, if those stretches are feeling really good, of course, you could always hang out for an extra couple minutes after you're done this video and do some more. Keep that back glute squeezing, tuck the tail. Think about reaching your belly back as you reach your hip forwards. And you should feel a better stretch, even if you don't go down as low. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Maybe a quick shell stretch. Send a breath of air into your back. And then you're all done. I hope you enjoyed that, especially if you had those ankle weights, a little extra spice. But even if you didn't, I hope you still felt a good little burn. And if you're new to Pilates, welcome. You're gonna love it. I know you already do, right? Anyways, don't forget to leave a like on this video, comment, share it to a friend who could also use some Pilates in their life. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can get more mountain Pilates content all throughout summer. Have an awesome rest of your day. See you next time. Bye.